Hello?
What's up, girl? What happened after Tony dumped you?
Girl, I'm over it. I went from heartbreak to hate.
Hi, Bob.
Oi, Joy. I haven't said that in a minute.
You haven't?
I've been using oi as my my way of cussing lately.
Okay. Is this like for work appropriateness or?
I don't know. It's just been popping up in my head a lot lately. I'm punk. I'm so punk.
Clearly.
We're talking about horror movies.
Word.
And because I lived in Kentucky for a while, I have to tell you that is the word spelled Horror and not Whore, because sometimes horror and whore come out the same.
I got you.
But I would love to talk about horror movies sometimes.
I know you would.
Love 'em all.
Your fascination. But
We're talking about horror movies. Yeah. So I like horror movies.
I do too.
And
Not to the extent that you do, though.
no, but that's okay. I appreciate that you do, and if you didn't, I probably wouldn't talk to you.
Oh, okay. It's a new thing to learn about our friendship.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of horror or whore in you.
A little bit of
A
both.
little bit of both. That's good. I'm a horror whore.
Okay.
So,
yes.
There you go.
All right. So, should we talk about some of our first horror movies?
Our virgin horror movies?
Virgin horror movies.
Okay, go for it. What's your virgin horror movie? Who would you lose your virginity to?
I lost it to Nightmare on Elm Street, but 2, not the first one. It took me a long time to see the first one.
So you saw the gay one.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what we're going to call it.
Oh, the main actor. He's gay, and he talks about how queer it was. It's definitely there's definitely gay undertones in that movie. But
So I saw that one first.
okay.
And then strangely, I think I saw like 3 through 5 again before I got to the first one for some reason.
Well, the first one's technically scarier than the rest of them.
It is scarier than the rest of them, and I feel that they did not play it as much on
No,
HBO and
no.
whatnot. You know what I mean? Like they played all the other. I've seen 5 a million times.
Oh yeah.
Because-
Well, that's the thing is you always got the sequels. Were always on the networks and you know in USA up all night, and they were also HBO, Cinemax, Showtime if you're rich enough.
Oh yeah, we didn't have Showtime. No, we had I remember HBO and Cinemax. I think they were a pack or something.
Yeah, they came
I was
together.
gonna say because we definitely had those.
That's why I said Showtime was for rich people.
Yeah, but yeah. So I loved The Nightmare on Elm Street. I was at the age where they were still kind of scary, but it wasn't too scary. Like I was able to deal with it. You know what I mean? I was just kind of grip my little self together, and because I was always watching them when it wasn't supposed to be. So sneaking up late at night, but I was always a quiet, good kid, so I could figure out how to get away with things. Watch these movies, then try to go to sleep, not have any nightmares, because obviously.
Yeah, I mean, because you were a good kid, so that would have really
Yeah.
that would have forced your brain to go places.
But I was really obsessed with those at first, and I remember when I went through this whole stage where I didn't like my dad, and my dad was so super Christian that I sang the little Freddie song when he would pick us up for the weekend, or you know what I mean, which would turn into just the night.
Right, because you couldn't handle anymore.
1, 2, Freddie's coming. And it just could see all of the anger rising from his 3-piece suit. So yeah, that was my first. What about you?
My first horror movie that I remember watching, I was real young, was The Exorcist. And it was, I would have been probably 5 or 6. And I had sleep problems when I was a kid, so I would be up, when everyone else was asleep. And we had basic TV, so it was on late at night because they would not play The Exorcist early in the day. And I saw that movie, and I wasn't scared of it, and it was really intriguing to me. And so that was my first horror movie. And then shortly thereafter, my mom also, she's a horror fan too, so horror thriller person. So we watched Halloween, and I was young too, 6 or 7 years old. So. So I mean, I had real early on, and I've talked about before, I wasn't sheltered and told I couldn't watch things and do things. I recorded those movies, Nightmare on Elm Street specifically, and would watch them all the time on VHS. But
yeah, and I feel my mom turned a corner not too long after that because I started reading all the Stephen King books because I was a nerd, right? So I always read things.
So because you were a black female nerd, did you associate, like, closely relate to Sheila in part 4 of Nightmare on Elm Street?
I don't know about closely, but I did love Sheila.
Did you get your body sucked, your entire everything sucked out by Freddy Krueger and then die of a... But she had to invent that bug zapping thing that was very crucial towards the end of the movie.
Listen, yes. I mean, you need somebody who's like creative like that. But yeah, so it was like because I started reading the books and everything, I think my mom just kind of accepted it as a thing. And like I remember watching Pet Sematary when all the Stephen King movies were really not that amazing.
No,
but you'd read it, so you had to see the movie version, right? You see Cujo, you see Pet Sematary. All of those, and I really, some of the books are scary as shit as you're reading them.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is Stephen King definitely puts a lot more horror in that you can possibly get into a movie. But yeah, I mean, I was the same. I was allowed to go to the movies and see them and stuff like that, and we had a movie theater where the ticket sales was on the outside of the building, so my mom and aunt would like pull up, get out, buy us the tickets, and me and my cousin, we'd go in and we'd watch whatever horror movie it was.
Nice.
So, and they didn't want to watch them, they didn't want to go to the movies, whatever, and so we would just go see whatever horror movie was. Yeah.
And now we had an interesting conversation just before because I was saying, because you mentioned Poltergeist, and I said, I didn't really think of that as a horror movie. And I love the Poltergeist films, but I would have almost kind of characterized it more as a thriller. But I guess because it does have ghosts, or you know what I mean, spirits, right? And a body count. Then you said that's what you think a good horror film makes.
Yeah, and I saw that at the drive-in with my family. Yeah, so it was. I mean, my family was not afraid of any kind of horror movies or anything like that. And plus, Poltergeist was directed by Tobe Hooper, who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's got to be categorized as a horror movie because Tobe Hooper very rarely flipped into other genres. So
now, I'm trying to think. Oh God, I wish I could think of the name of it. There's one that Denzel Washington did that's technically a thriller. But it's like there's this demon spirit that's kind of floating in and out of people, and he's a police detective. Do you know this movie?
Shocker, isn't it? No. But
it's got like a one-word name too, I think.
That's the premise of Shocker. But let me see. What?
Fallen. No, is it Fallen? No.
Was it? I don't know.
But anyways, this was the kind of film that was crazier than most horror films because when you grow up, because it's like demon possession and that kind of thing, right? Because this, spirit would invade you and then you would turn into a left-handed serial killer.
Yeah.
Now that came out later, but I remember at the time, that was like the kind of movie that no parent would take me to because it was too close to things that really, Christians really believe, like that you could let Satan, that you could create a hole, Satan could come in and you'd be taken over. And
you sure Denzel Washington was in this movie?
I promise he was. I remember watching that movie and I was scared to death because I was like, this is like some real shit that could actually happen. Now, I don't know that I really think that now, but at the time I think I was 15 or whatever.
Well, all horror, all good horror to me, if it's more realistic, like if it could happen to you, that is more terrifying to me. And if you don't know why things happened, you never know the motives of a killer, that's even more
just because it just wanted to kill people. I mean, it was like there was no, and you couldn't kill it. It was called Fallen. John Goodman was in it.
Oh.
Do you remember? Did you ever see that? It doesn't seem like the kind of movie you would see.
No, I think because I thought it was like a drama.
Because the murderer is later revealed to be the fallen angel known as Azazel.
Oh, I know Azazel. He's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. No. I don't know why I never saw that movie. I guess I just assumed since it was Denzel Washington that it was going to be a Denzel Washington movie.
I hear you, but actually not.
I mean, that's
and a little
prejudice and
creepy
racist
and everything.
a little bit,
Like
but
the demon sings this one song and everything. Maybe check it out one night. I don't know that you'll love it, and I don't
Yeah.
think you'll classify it necessarily as horror.
Well, I don't mind non-horror movies. I like thrillers. I like a lot of Brian De Palma movies. I like Dressed to Kill is still one of my childhood favorite movies that I can like watch at any time. And the body count's pretty low, and it really is a thriller. But I don't know, you slice someone's neck with a straight razor.
Now, can you be a horror movie if you kill somebody and then bury them in cotton candy?
What?
Killer Clowns from Outer
I
Space.
know what you're talking about, and absolutely Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a horror movie.
I've watched that so many times on
Oh
USA.
no! If it terrifies children, I mean that's what that movie's made for. It's a horror comedy technically, but I mean it's less comedy than most horror comedies, but it still is. To me, it's a horror movie. It's a horror movie. I mean, I don't feel like everyone says, oh, if It from 1990 didn't happen, so many people wouldn't be scared of clowns today. No, it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I would agree with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's the
and
answer.
I know a few people. I have a cousin who's scared. I know people who are like seriously scared of that movie. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think it's part of the whole good thing about the movie is that the clowns don't really talk. They make noises. They don't talk.
Right.
And they're like, they look like normal clowns. They're not like uber menacing. Like It is really like terrifying. Looking. The clown. There was like the girl clown who was dressed up like a cowboy. I mean, there's all kinds of like, I don't know. I think that's a good movie.
That is. We should watch it sometime.
You should.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
I watched it already once this year, but I'll watch it again. But that's
for the season, right?
I mean, like that's one of the things that I would watch. That I would watch Witchboard, which is one of my favorite horror movies, with Tawny Kitaen, and then I'd watch Big Trouble in Little China, and that would be a typical Saturday night for me in junior high.
Okay.
I had them all three taped on a VHS together, so I would watch them back to back to back. Yep.
That's it.
It was Killer
Triple
Clowns,
feature.
Witchboard, then Big Trouble in China. Because Witchboard's more. Have you seen Witchboard?
No.
Okay, so Witchboard is one of my, like I said, childhood movies. Me and my sister loved this movie, and we could literally like give you line for line. It's not that easy, James. Just like. It's Tawny Kitaen. You know who Tawny Kitaen is, right? So beautiful redhead. She plays with a Ouija board by herself and gets possessed by Malfador.
Okay.
Which is a total evil psycho axe killer.
Nice.
The body count's light. It's light. Starts off with a party. People at the party die. Not at the party, but members that come to the party. So anybody that was there when the Ouija board happened, essentially. So then she starts doing it herself, which creates a portal for ghosts to enter. And
Okay.
It's a great family movie. One I'm sure all your children will adore and love.
Right.
You'll run out and get you a Parker Brothers Ouija board right after.
Yeah.
But Witchboard is amazing, but there's like the sequels, which weren't really sequels. They were called Witchboard, but then they were changed. The titles were changed to like Witchcraft. I don't know. So Witchboard, 2 thumbs up. Both those guys are dead, right? No, I don't know if they're dead or not.
No. One of them is.
We know Roger Ebert is.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
We're in the town of Roger Ebert, if y'all didn't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any like demonic possession movies you like?
Well, I really do like Fallen, even though it creeped me out. Other demonic possession. I don't think that was one I was really into. Like, again, given my Christian background, upbringing, it steered clear of most of those. I'd just give me a killer on the loose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Any day.
Oh, yeah.
But possession is a little too close to home. A little too close to...
Yeah, and I mean, that was a theme. In the 80s and 90s, definitely your horror movies had themes. There was like... Similar to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, a lot of times horror movies took place in mental institutions, or teens locked up for whatever reason. So you had that subgenre of horror movies. You had the slasher movies. Definitely, my favorite genre of movie is give me any kind of killer, for whatever reason. Someone made fun of him in high school. Or, whatever, threw acid on them. I guess that's one and the same. That's from another movie. That's one and the same.
Okay.
Made fun of him in high school. Got acid on his face. Hey, Marty, how's it going? But yeah, there's all those subgenres of horror movies that I guess, I don't know. I just call them horror movies.
Yeah. I feel that there was a thing like in the later 90s, maybe early 2000s, where everything turned into gore. It was just how much gore can we put on the screen? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of started with Jeepers Creepers of it all. The Cabin Fever, that was the most ridiculous. It was just buckets. I can't even tell you how much I hated that film.
They call those torture porn movies and
Is that
things
what
like
that-
Saw and all that stuff. Yeah.
But Saw 1 was brilliant. Okay, Saw 1 was brilliant to me because I was like, the concept is crazy. See, you roll your eyes. We've had this discussion.
I didn't roll
before.
my eyes. My eyes went to one side.
Fine, you give me a half
While
eye
you
roll,
laugh,
but I know what you meant.
I will say, Saw movies are made for people who aren't horror movie fans.
The others are. The first one, though, if you just look at the concept, the idea behind it, it's sick and twisted. And I was like, what devil worshiper wrote?
To die. I just love Carrie Elways. Anyway, okay, I get you.
Yes, one, as a purist, one is good. It's sickly brilliant in my mind. The others are trash, but I'm sorry, did I say that? I didn't mean to, but I did.
Yeah.
I did mean to.
It's okay.
And of course, we can't end this show without me saying Trick or Treat. Once you introduce me to Trick or Treat,
Yeah, Joy loves Trick
I
or
love
Treat.
Trick or Treat, and I was for a
The-
long
the-
time
the-
possessed with the idea.
It's a newer movie, not the ones from the 80s. There's other Trick.
You did tell me that.
Yeah.
So I'm sad that they supposedly were going to make another one, and then they never did.
Well, they made Krampus after that, so it was made by the same people.
Yeah, but I thought that they were going to do a sequel, like with that little.
I think they're still going
doll
to.
character.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Sam. His name's Sam.
They could have done it by now, but
Well, some people don't. Horror movies are hard to get funding for.
I could believe that.
Especially because Trick or Treat wasn't a major hit in the movie theaters. It was more of a rental.
Well,
not
they could
underground.
go to fucking Netflix or somebody and make it happen.
I think, yeah, why not? Hulu, you want to make more movies? Hey, Hulu, we need a Trick or Treat 2. The
Sign us
Return of
up.
Sam Hain.
Okay.
Something like that. So, any other horror movies that, like, if someone had never watched horror movies, you'd want them to watch?
Well, I think you have to watch all the standards, right? I think you have to watch Halloween, at least 2 of the 9,000 sequels that they made.
Well, they're making the new one that's coming out that I'm extremely excited
I know.
about.
It may be out already or coming out this next weekend.
Next weekend when
Okay.
you're gone.
Okay. This weekend I'm here. It's coming out this weekend. It's not coming out till the 13th, really?
I thought that. I don't know. Anyway,
Anyways, neither here nor there.
yeah. So we get to watch Halloween 1.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Friday the 13th 1 and 2. You have to watch 2.
You have to watch Exorcist, even though if you see it now, you're not going to be scared.
Not scared.
Like people were back in the
No,
day.
no.
But you know, if you're a horror film lover, then you have to watch Exorcist. It's just the rules.
Yeah, I would say any horror movie that has Jamie Lee Curtis in it
Mm-hmm.
is good. So you need Terror Train, Prom Night. Those are classics. Prom Night 2 is pretty fucking amazing, and it's not even about the same line. I mean, some of those anthology, like those movies, they just like, they'll just jump ship. Like Prom Night 2 is if Freddy Krueger went to prom in the 50s.
Amazing.
Amazing. Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou. Check it out at your local library.
Probably, yes.
Right. Or on some streaming service, if you will. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 is really good. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is one of my favorite movies.
Do not watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel in it because it's horrifying and not in a true horror way.
No,
It's just
some of those horror
upsetting.
remakes really were not necessary.
So many of the remakes are bad.
The Black Christmas remake is horrible, but it's good still. But watch the original Black Christmas. That's my favorite horror movie. And it's not just a Christmas movie. You can watch Black Christmas at any time of the year, like I do.
What was that other movie that we watched That was
That
like
one?
timeless. No, it wasn't. We went to the movie theater and saw it. The thing that It Follows.
It Follows. That was good.
That's a good, more recent
Modern
one. That's a good
horror movie.
modern horror movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good because it's timeless in a way.
Yeah,
where you
I
don't
liked
really know.
Hereditary, even
Yeah.
though I don't think it's for a lot of people. And I don't mind all of the like Conjuring movies and stuff like that. I basically, if it's a horror movie, I'll watch it. I'll even watch the shit that Netflix is putting out that's or like brings in that's not that great, but I'll still watch them.
Even if you get angry. Now, did you
Even-
like The Ring 1?
I like The Ring 1. I also like The Grudge. You know, got my girl Sarah Michelle Gellar, but I like those two.
Okay.
I used to call people and do that.
And he continues, kids.
Yeah, that was fun. I did it to my cousin when I lived with her. She didn't like it.
I bet you didn't. Surprise.
And I like the original of The Ring, the Japanese version. The Japanese movie House is amazing from the 70s.
I hear that all the movies that like come out of Japan, like those horror movies, those are the ones that will truly like blow the hair off of your head because they play no games.
Well, they're extremes. So House is kind of a funny horror movie, but there are definitely movies that are like the anticipation, and that's what gets you in a horror movie is that you're anticipating something's going to happen to a person. So most times I go to horror movies and I'll sit there and I'll be like, 5 minutes later, this is going to happen. This person's, it shows all the characters at the beginning of the movie. I'll be like, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to, like, I don't need to see, like, I've seen enough horror movies, bad, good, whatever, to know a formula for a movie. So if a movie actually gets me to jump, it's usually because I'm sitting there waiting with anticipation for something to happen. And Hereditary made me jump once.
Okay.
And it was actually shocking what I jumped at. I won't say what it was.
Okay.
But when it happened, I immediately did it to the whole audience in the next scene. Anyway, now Joy, can we talk about black people for a second?
It only takes a second because that's how fast they die.
Oh.
Go ahead.
In horror movies, yes. At horror movies,
Oh yeah, at horror movies.
can you explain the need to yell at screens?
Well, so here's the thing. When black people go to the movies, we feel that it's group participation.
Oh, okay.
So, that's like if you saw Higher Learning when it came out, that was definitely group participation. Yelling, booing,
Yes,
whatever.
you didn't need to see that movie
You
in
did
the
not.
movie theater. As
I-
a white person, you should not go. Oh, I went to see Mississippi Burning. No, I needed to not be in that movie theater at all. I was too young for that.
But my point is, we feel that it's group participation. So if I'm scared, then I'm going to let everybody in the theater know that I'm scared, and maybe other people are going to participate, and we kind of make it a group activity. So there you go.
So, because not all black people yell at screens,
No.
and more other races talk to the screen as well. White people do it quite often. I feel that sometimes it's a fear reaction.
No, it is, but it's a group. It's like...
But I mean, sometimes you'll hear people like say like, shit like, "Oh hell no," and I just think that they're trying to just like
not jump and
not jump and not be scared. That's my take.
But I see that sometimes when people do that. You're like, shut the fuck up, but,
Yeah, because when I saw like a Halloween, I don't know what the number, Resurrection, there's no number, and it's Busta Rhymes. Like, it was all just like comedy. Everybody was laughing at everything he was saying as he's almost dying. Like, everything Busta Rhymes said was comedy. And I think while black people die earlier in horror movies, white people are more scared of horror movies because they get chased longer.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's it. Ooh, Okay, now something just came to me in a flash. The one horror movie that made me violently angry and gave me a headache at the same time, and I think that's why I got so angry.
Ooh, and the lights just went out in the studio, folks.
I know.
Scary. What is it? What is it?
The Blair Witch Project.
Why are you getting angry? What did it do to
that
you?
fucking camera shaking bullshit, and I was like, nothing is happening, and I can't see shit. If they shake this camera, but I was over it. I was like, I just felt like forever. And like I said, I ended up with a headache. I was like, all this shaking the camera bullshit is not cute. Like, I get that you're trying to be real.
Right.
I'm over it.
Okay, I'll admit on a podcast that is forever, podcasts are forever, that I actually saw the Blair Witch when it first opened, and I had watched the fake documentary on like Sci-Fi or MTV, whatever made that thing where it was promoting that these people were actually dead and that this was really found footage. And I lived in an area that was basically the Blair Witch.
Okay.
So like my house was in the middle of a wooded area with, I mean, my closest neighbor didn't live there. The house was empty. The next closest neighbor were Mennonites, and they were a couple miles away. So, like, it was definitely an area that you wouldn't want to go see the Blair Witch, say, at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and then drive, like, 50 miles home at night, and then pull into your place where you live alone at night with all these trees and random, you know, animals making noises, because you know, and all the bugs make noises. You can't really hear everything that happens at night when you live in a city, because cities, like, you know, other noises drown out what's scary about being in the woods.
Right.
So
Okay.
I was scared for a second,
I got you. That's fair.
and I watched it again this year, and I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't scared, and I've seen it multiple times, but I get you. That whole shaking stuff, and it's still going on in movies. They still haven't gotten past that.
No,
They're still making
it started a thing.
found footage movies, and you know, I don't know if I'm on board for all that. Now, is there besides Blair Witch, is there a movie you absolutely hate that's a horror movie?
No, I can't think of any, because you know, like you said, I really do like horror movies for the most part. I can't think of any that I really hate. I'm sure there have been others, but usually it's just when they like try to dumb it all the way down. You know what I mean? Or you just feel like, okay, now, like, let's not get overly ridiculous. Because horror movies already have an element of ridiculousness to them. But when you go too far, you know what I mean? Like kiddie horror type of thing, that usually makes me angry. Like, I need my horror pure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to try and make it a Disney horror movie. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there are Disney has like stuff like that, but so we only have like a minute or so left. Any other shout outs to horror movies that you want people to see? I do. April Fool's Day.
Okay.
See April Fool's Day, the 80s version. When I say movies, I don't mean remakes of them.
Right.
Just so we know.
The original.
The original. I mean, it's the pureness of it all. Which Nightmare on Elm Street's your favorite?
Probably 4.
Okay. Mine's 3, because it's like, it's as close as I could get to like an X-Men movie back in the day, because it was an X-Men comic. So all these kids have, you know, dream powers. So that was my gig. Yeah, Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. The Hills Have Eyes. There's all kinds of horror. I mean, go see any horror movie that was made in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can go wrong. Graduation Day. All those, anything to do with a day. See it.
Day.
And remember that to be beautiful and natural is the birthright of every woman. And I wish you all loads and loads of loveliness and good luck.